want to give a major shout out to Ryan Grimm, who, I mean, story after story from Ryan and from Moz over at Dropsite is just confirming beyond my wildest dreams when I laid out all of the Israel connections with Epstein. If I had this stuff, I would have been less careful in my language and been like 100%. I'm willing to just say it out loud. Let's put his story up here on the screen. Here he had a blog. You guys broke this down on the Friday show, but Epstein helped Israel sell the surveillance state to Cote d'Ivoire, an African nation. And some of the allegations inside of the story are absolutely wild. They talk about his relationship with Ehud Barak, about the sale of his military technology, about the daughter of this leader and how she herself was ensnared kind of within his scheme. This is just one of the latest Epstein stories that they've dropped. They dropped previously one that also involved Africa, Israeli intelligence. He's got a new one actually out just this morning.
I have it pulled up. Israeli spy stayed for weeks at a time at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. Leaked emails show Epstein working on a wire transfer to Ehud Barak's top aide, Yoni Koren, who regularly stayed at his mansion. I'll read you the lead of this. So this is, again, Ryan and Maz. An Israeli military intelligence officer stayed at Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan apartment on at least 3 occasions, including once in February 2013, while working as a senior aide to then Israeli Minister of Defense, Ehud Barak. Yoni Koren made his intelligence career working in covert operations alongside the Mossad, remained a lieutenant colonel in reserve duty after he officially left the intelligence directorate. He stayed in Epstein's apartment again for 2 weeks in October 2014 and a third time for 10 more days in September 2015. Dropsite compiled evidence of these stays from schedules released by the House Oversight Committee last month and Barak's hacked emails. On all 3 trips, Koren appeared to be conducting official or unofficial business. A Times of Israel article from late January 2013, a few weeks before Koren's first documented stay, identifies him as still actively serving as the bureau chief for the Israeli Ministry of Defense that month. And it goes on from there. But yeah, TLDR, this guy, Israeli military intelligence officer, high-level senior aide to the then defense minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, staying at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion on the Upper East Side for 2 weeks at a time, 10 days, 2 weeks, while he's conducting business. I mean, it's confirmed. It's confirmed.
Yeah.
He was an intelligent asset for Israel. Period. Done, dusted, we know now. And the other wild thing that we always bring up, and I think really bears mentioning, is Ryan and Maz, they're just going through things that have been publicly released now, either from the House Oversight Committee or mostly from these hacked emails. This is all available to any news outlet who cares to look through them and do the reporting, and none of them do. None of them care to go through the emails. None of them want to put this sort of information out in the public domain. And that is wild. That is incredibly revealing in and of itself.
Welcome to the JJ Carrell Show. We're going to talk about it because we have to. We have to talk about the issue staring us in the face. A foreign government, Israel, utilized an American citizen that is a Jew to blackmail through our CIA. Oh, we're complicit in this. This isn't Israel and the Jews. This is Israel, Mossad, Jews, Americans, United States of America government, the CIA. Speaker Johnson said now it's on 2 months now in a press conference, let it slip and said after we were told by the president that this is a hoax, there's nothing there. Speaker Johnson kept saying there's nothing there. Then he came out and said, well, we can't reveal everything. Because if we revealed everything, then we would expose our intel agencies and foreign intel agencies, their modus operandi, their ability, their secrets, their SOPs. Really, Speaker Johnson, if you let dumb people talk long enough, they will confirm that they're stupid, and they will tell you things that you should not be told. And as that lady said, and she said many, I found engaging things And one of those was, this is all available. Like right now, this is all open sourced. It's not like, hey, I signed an NDA, but I'm kind of read between the lines. No. Everyone has access to the Epstein files, the millions, 3 to 6 million Epstein files. And the mainstream media acts as if it's a hoax, acts as if it doesn't matter. Well, why would it not matter? Well, it wouldn't matter because everyone in that world is involved. And more specifically, our government teamed up with our greatest ally, Israel, and their intel agency, and ran a honeypot of American politicians and others, but America's politicians and influencers and elites. And they honeypotted them. We allowed a foreign country. And if you go down this rabbit hole of Israel, you begin to find and uncover and discover that they have been doing these type of operations on America for a very, very long time. And why is that? And this is the brass tacks. Because Israel can't survive without us. We're that giant kid in school whose brother is just an asshole. But no one will fight the brother because they have to fight me. They have to fight the giant. And they're like, no, I'll just keep taking abuse from the asshole. But once the brother goes away to college, or goes away and gets to another school in high school, and then the middle school or high school, they're left with the asshole. There's no protection. Now everybody that's been getting their ass beat for years says, now it's time. Now it's time to beat your ass. America is the big brother. Israel is the asshole that has been fighting, blowing up, destroying everybody in all the countries all the time. As a supervisor in law enforcement, if I had a supervisor or an employee come to me and make complaints about, well, this is wrong and that's wrong and this guy and this, and I would be like, hold on a second. Prior to him or her coming into my office, I had 8 complaints from 8 different people about this one person. I can't tell you how many times I've had this discussion. I have 8 people that are complaining about you. You're complaining about 8 people. The 8 people that are complaining about you, they don't have any other issues at all, except with you. You're the common denominator. Am I to believe that 100% of the people that have an issue with you, they are 100% wrong? Or could you be the problem? Israel, if you're at war with everyone on planet Earth, specifically in the Middle East, you have been kicked out of, not my words, the Hebrew bazooka, what do they call it? The Hebrew hammer. Randy Fine from Florida says, we've been kicked out of 109 different nations, and we haven't been wrong once. Okay. Do you hear yourself? And I know this is a live wire. It's become less of a live wire to talk about Jews and Israel. Let me tell you what it was like 5 months ago. I have felt I have felt and believed in certain things about Israel and Jews, just from observations and seeing things, but it wasn't my wheelhouse. It's still not my ultimate wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is law and order, the border, immigration, the demographics of America, societal, cultural. So there's a crossover, but I'm not an expert, and I will tell you that. But 5 months ago, you had to whisper about this stuff. Epstein is a Jew, and he was with Mossad, and he's working with Israel. Whoa, you can't say that. You're an anti-Semite. Well, what are you talking about? I'm anti-Semite. I'm just stating a fact. No, you can't state that fact. And it was interesting because you have Stu Peters, Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones. You throw in Ian Carrell, and they were excoriated. They mentioned the Jews in Israel, and they just got blasted. And I, on my show, played clips of them, and I said, this is interesting to see it come out in mainstream. Not mainstream yet, but come out in our podcast world and be so blunt, be so direct. These are my observations. These points that they are saying they can't be truly challenged because they're factually true. So it makes you stop and think about Jews in America, in Israel, and their role in our politics. That's all I said. It was an observation. I didn't say this guy's wrong and that guy is a Jew and should go to jail. None of that. I was just making an observation. Let me tell you what it looked like professionally. Like, this is my profession. My emails just were like, bam, DMs were blowing up, all because of just an observation of Jews. I had not my immediate family. My immediate family would never do this to me, but I had extended family email me and say, I've been a big supporter of yours. I pay to see your stuff, even though I'm family. I'm a big supporter. I'm revoking all of it, and I cannot watch or talk to you about this. In fact, they just sent me email after email after email of scripture saying how wrong I was to ever criticize God's chosen people in Israel. Then I get a call out of nowhere from a very influential influencer. I haven't spoken to her for about a year and a half. She was my boss in a way. And she sat there for 45 minutes lecturing me. And I was kind and I was civil because I know her husband and I'm not going to be mean. I mean, I pushed back heavily, but I wasn't like, are you out of your mind? And I wanted to say that multiple times. Are you out of your effing mind? And she felt compelled because she's a Jew that she needs to set the record straight. And it was interesting because I said, I just made an observation. You haven't called me when I not just made observations, but made damning allegations about the federal government, damning allegations against the Democrats, damning allegations that there are pedophiles in the White House, there's pedophiles in Congress and Senate, that the third worlders coming here, they are mentally retarded, not being mean or malicious, not being slanderous. They have been found to be, through testing, mentally retarded. I've talked about the Catholic Church and the priest raping young boys, being pedophiles, and then being cast out into different parishes across the nation. I've talked about the gay-filled orgies in the Vatican, fueled by cocaine. I've talked about it all. There have been no Roman Catholics calling me. There have been no Somali retarded people calling me. There's no pedophiles calling me and being pissed off that I'm talking about pedophiles. There's been no priests. I know a lot of priests that have called me and said, you need to stop that. No one, not one person. For people that don't like me, sure, but nobody said you can't talk about this. Do you know the only thing that I can't talk about are Jews in Israel? Think about that for a second. And when someone does that to me, or someone tries to block me from speaking about something, sorry. I'm going to now dig as deep as I can and learn as much as I can because this stinks. And when I see other people getting slammed, censored, blocked for asking deeper questions. That makes me dig deeper and then deeper and then deeper. And then you get to the point that it is, as I've said many, many times on my show, shut your mouth. I'm talking about me. Shut your mouth, JJ, and listen. Listen to what they say. You get a flood of emails from as evidence. Stop talking, read their words. Now sit back and watch their actions. Now you've listened to it, you've read it, and you've witnessed it. Now you can talk about it. Now we're talking about it. Jeffrey Epstein was a Jew, an American Jew that was tied to Israel and other very, very wealthy billionaire Jewish influencers. He was best friends with the former prime minister of Israel. He was tied to Mossad and the CIA. And they did that to harm America. I have a long list of videos to choose from today. Literally, my goal is I want to keep it to about 7, 8, maybe 9 videos. That's a big day, 9 videos. I have like 17. Like I didn't even know it. I was like clipping and pasting into my lineup because it was just overwhelming every single day, overwhelming evidence. I'm like, holy cow. All right, let's start paring this back. And I know I'm not going to get to all of it, but that's how big this is. And this is how big people are talking about it now. It's no longer just Nick Fuentes, who has a huge following. It's no longer Alex Jones, who is named, has come out like a oracle, a way ahead of time, 9/11, etc. It's not the smaller medium podcast or smaller podcasts like myself. It is now Tucker Carlson. It is now Elon Musk. It is now mainstream to talk about this out loud. It's shocking. I can remember 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you couldn't talk about Jews. It was whispers. The Jews run Hollywood. Don't say that. Why can't I say that? It's historic. It's not a slander. Why is it when, maybe this is a bigger and better question before I go to the next video. Why is it a negative slander to say, well, the Jews run Hollywood? Okay. What if I said, well, the Catholics are all running Hollywood and they keep producing all this Jesus stuff? Okay, well, they run Hollywood. It's historical. The Jews run Hollywood. Well, that's a slander. Well, why is that a slander? It's historical fact. The Jews run and have run the vast majority of all pornography sites, paper and digital. Well, you can't say that. That's anti-Semitic. No. If it was the Roman Catholics, or let's say they were the Southern Baptists, ran all the pornography, then we would just say the Southern Baptists run all the pornography. Why is it a negative? They own it. You don't deny that they own it. Then why is it a negative when I say that? Why is it that I say, well, the vast majority of all the social media is owned and run by Jewish Americans? You can't say that. Why can't I say that? It's true. And then why is it a slanderous? Why is it a bad thing that the Jews own the social medias? What if the Seventh-day Adventist owned all the social media? And if we didn't like it, we would just say, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something going on with the Seventh-day Adventists on social media because they keep censoring us every time we talk about the Seventh-day Adventist. Why are the Southern Baptists that are supposed to be rooted in the Gospels and Jesus, why are they owning pornography sites? All the Catholics own Hollywood. Why are they putting out pedophilia in 40 to 50% of all the child videos on Netflix? Why are the Catholics that live in Los Angeles the #1 producers of pornography in the world, the largest exporters. Why are the Catholics doing that? And you know what? No one would say, well, you're biased against the Seventh-day Adventist or the porn hub and OnlyFans Baptist. And no one would say, well, you're anti-Catholic, talking about what they're doing in Hollywood. But isn't it interesting how every single one of those segments of our society are run by Jews, and it's somehow a bad thing to talk about? It's somehow that I'm the bad guy for saying, well, I think there's a problem here. And I think it's apparent that there's a problem here. Should we talk about it? No, you shouldn't say a word about it. You should shut your mouth. They're our greatest allies. They're our best friend. Don't you ever heard of Judeo-Christian, evangelical Christian Zionists? Don't you know that? What I do know are the people that killed my Savior, mock him to this day, mock Christians, spit on us, follow teachings in the Talmud that says that Jesus is boiling in excrement and semen in hell. His mother is in hell because she was a whore and a prostitute. I see USS Liberty. I see now Jeffrey Epstein, and that cannot be the only one. I see the AIPAC owns every politician in the federal government, sans one, Thomas Massey. I listen to Jewish billionaires, Jewish influencers, Jewish people that have massive influence that are Jews are now openly stating what they want to do. They want to own politicians. They want to manipulate algorithms, manipulate language in America in order to have a constant flow of money and support from the big brother, United States of America. Not my words, theirs. In fact, let's start listening to some of them. But first, I want to show you this video. And this woman, you don't have to like her. You don't have to do anything. But what you have to say about this woman is she's one of the very few people that have a set on her. She has a brass pair of balls amongst a bunch of weaklings. And let's listen to her.
I think we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, which is what was really going on with Epstein? Because Epstein was more than just a serial pedophile and a pervert. He was an incredibly powerful man who was, by the way, in multiple instances in the files that were just released, talking about his work for Mossad, talking about his work for the Rothschilds. I mean, it just goes on. And so can we discuss the blackmail operation that was taking place and which government that's a special ally of the United States put him up to it? And do we really want to be allies with a country that kidnaps young girls for rape just so they can have dirt on American politicians and control our foreign policy? That's the bigger underlying issue here that no one's talking about.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about it now. We're talking about it now. And that woman is, I think she's courageous. Anna Kasparian. I hope I pronounced her name right. Here she is again, because I think she's that powerful. So let's listen to her. And the left and Jewish Americans and Israeli Jews despise her. And there's a reason why they despise her, because she has started to speak absolute truth.
So let's get to some of the headlines that were featured over at Drop Site News, because they poured over the Ehud Barak emails to Epstein, which of course were leaked as part of a hack. They also reported on the various documents and emails that were released by both Democrats and Republicans in the House Oversight Committee. So with that in mind, I mean, this is based on hard evidence. They were able to report the following stories. Epstein helped broker an Israeli security agreement with Mongolia. Interesting. Epstein helped Israel build a back channel to Russia during the Syrian civil war. That's not all. Epstein helped Israel sell a surveillance state to the Ivory Coast.
It's obvious. There is no, I wonder if Epstein works for or whatever Israel. No, we know it. So let's continue to talk about it and then ask the question, why? Why is the state or the nation of Israel in bed with a child trafficker and a blackmailer? And how much influence did Israel have on it? Did Israel pay for it in conjunction with our CIA and Mossad? What was the percentage? Was it 100%? Was it 90%? Was it 50? Was it 10? What was it? What was it that made you, Israel, go after American politicians and elites in order to gain leverage on them? Here's leverage. You don't think there's leverage on Bill Gates, who gets STDs from screwing Russian hookers, underage, alleged, and then transmit whatever it is, herpes, gonorrhea, syphilis, whatever, to his wife then at the time? You're going to tell me that's not leverage that he used? Where the hell did Bill Gates come from? He's a software geek that took someone else's stuff and created something. Oh God, great for him. But all of a sudden he's the vaccine guy. All of a sudden he's the we have too many people guy. That's what happened. Where did he come from? Maybe the same place Epstein came from. I don't know. Here's someone that's been all over it. You like her or not, she speaks the truth. Isn't it amazing? Every time someone even says it out loud and puts a smile on their face about the truth, that drives the left even more crazy.
Everybody talks about Epstein, comedy shows, whatever, but they never talk about the very obvious connection with a foreign intelligence. Open ABC, Epstein. NBC, Epstein, CNN, Epstein, Comedy Central, Epstein, but they never talk about the Israeli connection.
Well,
it's there.
Really,
Right,
what do you mean? He was us.
Yeah, he was.
That's when they'll start talking about it. As soon as we work through, it turned out actually that he was working for us.
Like he was indicted 2008, and he was allowed to go to Israel during his
that's
trial.
what's coming next.
He just happens to go to Israel, and then he would come back.
That's why they put Barry Weiss CBS. That's what's coming. They're working on that narrative. They just have to figure it out, and it's like it is the most despicable thing. That was for me done with Trump. As soon as he said what Epstein files. Easiest way to lose me as talk about the children. If we can't defend the children, what kind of nation are we?
What kind of nation are we? Well, we're a sick nation. We're a nation that is in absolute free fall. We talked about that yesterday. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people want to act as if this is just normal. And let's make something clear, because Nick Fuentes has been talking about this, and he's having to not backpedal a little bit, but he's having to clarify quite a bit. And if you don't like Nick Fuentes, that's fine, but you can't deny his reach. And one of the things that I immediately bristled on is his not okaying it, but downplaying young girls as 14, 15, 16, 17. That's not that big a deal. What in God's name are you talking about, man? For you being a 17-year-old boy, that's still, you may think that's cool to have sex with a bunch of women because that's our society. But you're damaged. You've been hurt. You don't know it. You think you're enjoying stuff, but you've been hurt physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. Now, when we talk about girls, this is a whole nother different topic because they're not built like men and boys. These are young girls. Even women having multiple partners, adult women, has a profound impact on their psyche. We're watching that happen in real time. Don't act like that's not a direct correlation to the number of abortions and number of sexual partners is not having any impact on the psychosis that we're witnessing now in 30, 40, and middle-aged women. Are you kidding me? Raping 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls is just that. It's rape. But I want to make it clear, because everyone's trying to massage the narrative that, well, it's just like underaged, young adults. No. As we played yesterday, there is confirmation that young children that are now women were being raped at 10 years old. There's confirmation that much younger than that. This was not just young teenagers. This was not just young children. This was child sacrifice, adrenochrome, child abuse. Obviously, it's sex, but I'm talking about torture. An Israeli government is absolutely tied directly to Epstein. The Israeli government and our government are neck deep in this shit.
But also, I mean, we're the United States of America.
Oh, I know.
You can't even go in and out of a casino without people knowing that you're there and without it being on every camera. And you're telling me that we don't have the video of Epstein killing himself and that we're all just supposed to expect this guy who we know, all those people who are in the admin now, my friends, they know Epstein was intel. They know he was tied to our intel. They know he was tied to Mossad. They knew he was tied to Saudi. He was a free agent. He was willing to go.
And British intelligence.
Yeah, and he was willing to go and get this compromat at a time when the British and the Israelis and the United States government needed to get people aligned with the Iraq war. And there was a worry that people would drift off and start opposing an increasingly unpopular war in Iraq. And so they got together, a bunch of people in academia, politics, media, business, and tried to get them in a compromising situation so that then everyone would stay on board no matter what.
That does not sound unlikely. But when he died, by his own admission, he said, our job is to convince the American public he killed himself and to prevent dangerous conspiracy theories from spreading. The guy was murdered. And so Barr is by definition corrupt. Like attorney generals can't do that. That is totally over the top.
But also,
it's undeniable. And yet they still deny it. They being the left, they being Jews, they being Israel, they being the CIA, they being our own effing government. And here's a guy, just so we go down this road, just to prove my point. This guy right here. This guy. He calls us crazy. Isn't it interesting that this guy, who is way bigger than me, obviously, calls us crazy for asking? If I was at his level, and maybe one day I will be in his free fall, but at his height, maybe I'm there. If there's another pedophile explosion, and there will be in the Catholic Church because there's pedophiles all inside the priesthood because it's homosexual. It's a homosexual cancer in the Catholic priesthood. Everyone knows it. It's going to happen. So let's say 10 years from now, I have 5 million people subscribe to me on YouTube. Big reach like this guy. You know one thing that I won't be saying? I won't be saying, well, you're crazy and you're anti-Catholic and I hate you and you're absurd. No, what I will say is, damn it. I'm as mad as you. I want them eradicated from my faith. I want them to burn in the pits of hell for eternity. But that's not what he says. What does little Ben Shapiro say?
The Epstein files. There are none. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, there is no Epstein list. The evidence suggested there really was not an Epstein list if you were watching this case with any sort of eagle eye.
The Justice Department released so many records from the Epstein files today, more than 3 million pages plus videos and photos, that if you were to print them out and stack them up, they'd be about 3 times taller than the Statue of Liberty.
The Epstein files. There are none.
More than 3 million pages.
More than 3 million pages.
3 million pages. It's over 3 million more pages.
Releasing more than 3 million pages of documents.
Justice Department releasing more than 3 million pages of documents related to convicted defender Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein files.
The Epstein files. There are none. The Epstein.
That little man has lost almost everything, and he will continue to lose it because he's a sellout. And when this begins to happen, there is a cause and effect for everything. And to believe that you're going to get people on that side, the Jews, isn't it? Just a side note. I've listened to several Hollywood people, bankers, Edelstein type people say, literally say this. I don't want you, the Goyim, you, the Gentiles, to use and describe us as Jews. Well, why not? Well, because when you say it, it's slanderous. So I can't talk about Israel. I can't mention the actual people that are doing this to us as a collective by a name. I have to, what do I refer to that group? I'm Catholic. Catholic priests have a cancer of homosexuality in our faith. They're not my faith. They are the facilitators of the faith, and I don't want to leave my faith, so I want those bastards out of my faith, and I want to eradicate them. But I would never tell anybody, stop calling me a Catholic, because you're saying it too mean. Well, I'm a Catholic. And if we have a problem in the Catholic Church, it is the Catholics that are responsible. So when you tell me don't say the word Jew, I tell you to go pound sand. Just like I would tell you if you told me don't say that about Catholics, go pound sand. Number one, I can say whatever the hell I want to say. And I see things very clearly. You don't, it's not my problem. You're part of this machine, which Ben Shapiro is, part of this machine, obviously. And then we come to a guy named Nick Fuentes, and they hate him. There is always, in nature, the opposite. So you have this far, far left, protect Jews at all costs. And now you have somebody that I don't even think is far right, to be quite honest with you, whatever far right means. He's now just speaking the truth, and people are listening, and they're connecting the dots. And the powers to be don't like when the dots are connected.
That's when you realize you cannot have Jewish people at the highest level. Because if you do, they will get Epsteins in the club. A Larry Ellison, a Les Wexner, a Miriam Mason, Sheldon Adelson, a Larry Fink. These people will get the Epstein in the club. They will get their guy in the club. They are a fifth column. They will do it for Israel. They will do it for their fellow Jew. And that's really what is happening in the elites, is the elites are very disorganized. You've got some left-wing white people. You've got some oil people, tech people, Wall Street people. You have all different kinds of people from all different regions and different ethnicities and from different factions and mobs. And then you have the Jews working as one. No loyalty other than to each other, putting their tentacles everywhere. That's really what Epstein represents. And I don't know, is that not exciting enough? Is that not sexy enough? We need to get into, he was into cloning and time travel. He was into some science experiments. That's true. Some really raunchy stuff. But the essence of I think that betrays just an curiosity and amusement of certain types of elites. The real essence of political control is how he was elevated and then how he was used horizontally. That's the story.
That's the story. And people hate him for saying what the truth is. I don't hate people for telling the truth. I don't have to like the damn truth. I just don't have to like it. Doesn't mean it's not real. And I talked about this just a moment ago. Connect the dots. Everyone, and I mean everyone's talking about Jeffrey Epstein being a American Jew tied to Israel. And everyone that's a Jew not everyone, the vast majority of Jewish influencers, media personalities, bankers, billionaires, they're all screaming that we're racist. Connect the dots.
The funniest is all the people who are telling you have to hate Muslims. Oh, hate the Muslims. Ben Shapiro or Mark Levin, hate Muslims. Why aren't those same people calling for full disclosure of the 9/11 documents? It's kind of weird, isn't it? If you really wanted to prove that Muslims are bad, you would want all the 9/11 documents disclosed, wouldn't you? Just so you could sort of play out the horrifying details that led to those fabled 19 Arabs with box cutters committing the biggest act of terror in American history. Why would you ever want to keep any of that secret? Has Mark Levin ever called for the full disclosure of the 9/11 docs? Well, why wouldn't you? That would kind of make your case the Muslims are bad, wouldn't it? And just put a nail in the coffin of all the jihadis in America. And Ben Shapiro on that? Shut up, conspiracy theorists. Just keep in mind when people tell you, trust the government, maybe there's another agenda there.
He's right. Why don't they call for it? Why hasn't there been people calling for? So Carlson obviously is alluding to the fact of 9/11, and many people believe it was an inside job by the Israelis. I don't know that. I just find it interesting that the people that are the most at the time, and some to a certain degree now, have immense amount of influence, and they never call for it. Isn't that interesting? At least I find it interesting. The one way you can connect the dots is to subscribe to my YouTube channel, my Rumble channel. You can go to, or if you don't want to go there, if you do go there and watch it, please subscribe, hit the like button, whatever it is, whatever they tell you to do on the other podcast. Click and make my podcast bigger through subscribers. Or you can just go right to my website, jgcarrell.com, have all of my shows, episodes lined up there, books, documentaries, or go to my Substack, jgcarrell.substack.com. And I'm going to promote them because they sponsor my show. Not only do they sponsor my show, sat123.com/JJ. I believe in their product, and I have their products in my home. There's another winter storm coming. There is another flood coming. There's another tornado. There's another cyber attack. You need to be prepared. I know I am. When I was in the Border Patrol, I put my duty belt on, and I would check my duty belt multiple times. Do I have my gun? Do I got my flashlight? My battery? Got my extra battery? Do I have my extra magazines for my gun? Do I have my vest on? On my duty belt, do I have my OC spray? Do I have my taser? Do I have my collapsible steel baton? Do I have my leather gloves? Do I? I do the same thing in my life now. Do I have a generator? Do I have something that will give me connectability to the internet and to people through a Starlink system? Yes, I do. Do I have a ballistic backpack for my son and my wife? Yes. Do I have something to communicate with my family when those power lines, when those underground cables, when all of the connectability is destroyed? Will I have a sat phone to speak to my family? Yes, I do. I am prepared. Go to sat123.com/JJ, sat123.com/JJ, and become prepared. And lastly, but not really lastly, because I don't find it to be, I should not talk about my sponsors. Pet Club 24/7 creates a capsule form for humans, bonds and creams for humans, and it's from a mushroom extract from Japan that has been proven through 400 peer-reviewed articles to increase your immune system, clean out your gut, And they have it for your pets as well in pet treats and food. I use it. 2 rounds of remdesivir that I know of, maybe a third, still trying to figure that out. COVID riddles my body and my lungs, and it is my immune system that has been impaired, and I fight daily to correct it. And I use Pet Club 24/7. Go to truthwithjj247.com, truthwithjj247.com. And as I tell you about Patriots Made, Sat123, Pet Club, just go to the website, look at it, and you will be shocked to see, yeah, I need that. And know that I take it and I own those pieces of equipment, I call it equipment, that keep me prepared. And this is one of them. Truthwithjj247.com. Now back to some more really, really sick crap. Sick crap. Here's someone I really respect because he doesn't hem and haw. He just says it the way it is. And that's Professor Jeffrey Sachs. And this continually drive home the point that we are being ruled. We are being manipulated, propagandized. We're being pressured, compromised by a foreign government. And it just happens to be Israel. If this was Ecuador, South Africa, Germany, I'd want to sever those ties with them immediately. But just because it's the homeland of our Savior and some misinterpretation of the Holy Scriptures, I'm supposed to be friends with people that hate me and hate my Savior and evidently hate my government and my country? No, thank you.
America first didn't invent anything and it didn't change anything. The U.S. has been engaged in wars of choice, especially Israel's wars of choice, and in regime change operations for decades. The CIA has been the most important, powerful agent of the U.S. Government. It has been a disaster time and again, in my view. One of the reasons why it gets away with disaster is that it's basically unaccountable. It just walks away from one disaster after another without anybody scrutinizing the CIA. CIA hasn't had a proper overview by the public and Congress since 1975, more than 50 years ago in the Church Committee. So what's happening is just a continuation of our politics. It's alarming. It's been a massive failure. It continues to be a massive failure. It's very heavily driven by the Zionist lobby when it comes to the Middle East. And we're on the verge of war with Iran because of all of this. And that could be another devastating mistake.
I don't want to send my son or your son to fight for the Jews in the Middle East. You don't like that statement? Well, I really don't give a shit what you like. If you think for a second that I'm going to send my son when IDF doesn't even send their sons to fight and die, are you out of your mind? I'm looking at my list of what I want to show because there's so much. You know what? Here's one. I think it has to be shared because this is happening. This happened just yesterday. It was discovered, or this week discovered, that this is Melinda Gates. Her husband, Bill Gates, got some vicious STDs from Russian hookers and alleged underage girls. And I know Melinda Gates is feeling some shame and embarrassment, obviously. But I really want you to focus in on, she's an elite. She has billions of dollars. And I want you to listen to how how she compares her trauma to the trauma of the women that were raped by her husband.
I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever question.
Dear God, she can't be that tone deaf. Maybe she is.
Questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it. Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life. And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up in front of microphones in DC. What they went through is just unimaginable, I think.
I would say it is pretty unimaginable there, Melinda. But I'm very happy that you've been able to move on. Maybe a question I would have for you if I was the interviewer, and it would go something like this. Ma'am, when did you learn that your husband was raping young girls and that Epstein was procuring underage girls for your husband and other men to rape them? When did you find out? Okay, that's when you found out. Who did you go to? Like, what agency? Was it the FBI? Homeland Security? CIA? Who did you go to? Did you call a politician maybe to get you to have a one-on-one time with James Comey or whoever the other moron was before him? Oh, you didn't go to anybody. Maybe you did. I don't know. It's a question I would like to have answered. But I do know this, that it makes me sleep much better knowing that Melinda Gates has moved on. It really does. I hope that her STDs have been cleared up if she had them. And I'm just glad that she's in a better place than those women that were raped by her husband. That's good. I'm happy about that. We are in a nation of cowards. We are a nation of men that refuse to speak the truth. We are a nation of cowards. That's not harsh. I don't think that's harsh enough. It's changing, though. You can feel it. The alphas are rising up. They've had it. Here's one. Here's a guy that does not hold back. I think this guy, I've listened to him before. This is Pastor Rick Wiles. Listen to him and say, well, after everything you've witnessed today on this hour-long episode, tell me where he's wrong. Let's listen to him. Maybe I'll see something he says wrong.
And our leaders are low-life scum that screw little girls.
Oh, okay. I'm right on the money on that. That's not a lie.
So the Jews can screw America. That's what.
Oh, that's brutal. but it's true.
It's happening in this country. I just said it. That's what's going on in this country. And our FBI is corrupt. The Supreme Court is corrupt. The Justice Department is corrupt. The news media is corrupt. The whole country is corrupt because we've walked away from Almighty God and we've allowed Kabbalah practicing Jews to defile the nation. Put that video out. Go ahead and clip this video and send it out. I dare you. You won't do it because you're scared that the truth may get out to the American people. I'm had it up to here with the corruption in this country. Little children being raped for the benefit of Israel. That's all it's about, Doc. Little American children being raped for the benefit of Israel. American politicians raping little American girls to be videotaped by Israeli Mossad so that Israel can blackmail American politicians. That's the state of America today. God ought to destroy this country for what we've become in our.
I'm going to play that last couple seconds because that has to be said again.
That's the state of America today. God ought to destroy this country for what we've become.
God ought to destroy this country from what we've become. I don't think that's an incorrect statement. And when the reason why I like him and men like him is because they just say it in such a raw term. Like they bring what people are doing and they lay it out for you in the crudest, harshest terms, because how are we supposed to say that? How are we supposed to articulate raping little girls? I saw this video and I'll play it as I end this show. I want to play it because he's speaking exactly what this show's about. We've all had it. We're all pissed off. Let's look at what America has become or what we've been told is going to happen, and it never has.
I met with a good friend the other day. They say we live in a free country. That's a lie. We're trained to repeat. You work, they tax you. You own a home, they tax you. You buy a house, they tax you. A car, tax. Food, tax. Clothes, tax. They tax you. They tax your utilities. They tax your phone. They tax your insurance. You don't even touch your paycheck before they take their cut. Then after a full year of grinding, after breaking your body, soul, and mind just to survive, they audit you like you're a criminal and ask if maybe you might owe more. Tell me how the hell that's freedom. We're drowning, living paycheck to paycheck, one emergency away from losing everything, while politicians steal billions, embezzle your money, send it overseas, fund wars nobody voted for, fail audits, trade stocks with insider information, get rich on salaries that shouldn't make them rich, and nothing happens to them, ever. But miss your rent by a couple $100, your life's ruined. Miss a tax payment, they're going to crush you. They lecture us about responsibility while robbing the country in plain sight. They say, it's for the roads. They're fucking trash. Healthcare, broken. Schools, failing. Crime, out of control. Food, unaffordable. Housing, impossible. So what are we actually paying for? What are we free to do? Free to work nonstop? Free to stay broke? Free to comply? Free to vote between people who don't care about you? That's not freedom. That's control with better marketing. If this is freedom, why does it feel like we're being squeezed to death while the people in charge live protected, untouchable, and rich? Don't tell me we're free. Tell me why we're allowed to be robbed and gaslit into calling it liberty. Because tell me, I'd like to know, how is this freedom? Someone explain it to me, please.
Somebody explain it to me, please. Our government is corrupt to the core. It partnered with another foreign nation to destroy the United States of America. Our politicians are gutless and they're corrupt. It's time we call things as we see it. The old adage, balls and strikes. The Jews, Israel, Mossad, CIA, United States of American government, all corrupt. and they all need to be torn to the ground.